Hey guys, welcome to another episode of our FH Chop Shop. This week we're going to be working on the towbar again, and we've got to do the second fuse box. So I've got the fuse box for the trailer wiring, which is all installed. You saw that last week. So the second half of the episode I'll be finalising that and running the trailer plug to the back. And then the first half of the episode I'm going to be starting to make the second fuse box. So the second fuse box is for all my accessories. So it'll be lights, radio and cruise control and a whole bunch of other stuff that I want to be 12 volt. So let's get into it. Alright, so I've just laid out the new circuits for the second fuse box. So we've got 4 different relays pairing 4 different things. So I've labelled everything. In this lot we've got the switch for the work light, we've got the cruise control red, which is the 12 volt out, and the black, which is going to be the 24 volt signal. And then this one here is the radio reverse, so that's to tell the radio that we're in reverse and to turn the camera on. Then in this setup here we've got the reverse light, power and earth, because we need to have both to tee into the signal. And then I also need to add an RCA to that one. And then this one here we've got the H4 splice for the high beam, and we've got the light bar red and black, so positive, negative, and this all goes through the relay and all that sort of stuff. And then this one here we've got the work light red and black up to the top of the headboard. So 4 pretty simple circuits, just got to work out where it's all going. So I also need to add an RCA to the high beam circuit, because that's going to be on the correct side for what I want to do. So the RCA will go from the back of the truck all the way to the fuse box, and then back through the high beam wiring to the underneath the dash, and then that's where the RCA will plug in. So I'm going to probably need to get a 10 meter RCA cord for that one, because that's about the only thing I can't really make. So laid out here on these tubs I've got 4 different circuits. So I've got the little relay drawing in the middle, and I've got what I want to do for each of the circuits. So some of them are a bit more complicated and some of them are a bit simple. So I need to stop stepping on that because it's really annoying. So I need to cut and measure all the wiring for this. I've done some of it as you saw just a second ago. I need to do all the 12 volt and 24 volt triggers and earths, and then start putting it into the fuse box. So before I get stuck into the fuse box, I need to go get some crimp tools. I need to go get that RCA and run the rest of the wiring. Alright, so I've just finished up the second fuse box. There's only 4 circuits on this one. So as you can see, we've got 1 loom here, 1 loom here to the light bar, and then 2 looms to the front. So this loom at the back is for the reversing light bar. So I need to add an RCA to this one, which I have bought, but I haven't run into the loom yet. Then we have a loom coming off this way to the work light, which will be on the top of the headboard. And then we have 2 looms coming up here. One will go to the light bar at the front and to the H4 high beam splice that I need to do. And the other one, they're a little bit tangled at the moment. The other one is this one, which will go to the switch for the work light on the top of the headboard. It'll go to the cruise control. It's for the 12 volt ignition and the 24 volt ignition trigger. And then a radio reverse switch as well to tell the radio that the truck is in reverse. And then coming all the way back to the fuse box, which is mounted just behind the headboard, We've got five different wires here. So one is a short pink one. That's to go to the reverse trigger, which we left out of the box yesterday. And then we've got a blue wire, which has got the 24 volt negative. Then we've got the pink wire, which is the 12 volt negative. And then we've got two red wires because they ran out of colours. One's 12 volt positive and one is 24 volt positive. So I need to sort those ones out once the truck's back together, or once this is on the truck. And then once this is all run on the truck as well, I have to do all of the actual accessories. So the light bars and the cruise control and the radio and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot still to do, but the wiring is mostly done. I'm doing this today because it was pissing down with rain earlier. So much so that I couldn't hear the laptop when I was watching videos. So hopefully that was a pretty useful use of time for today. I'm still going to run the wiring here to the trailer plug. And then I've still got to run the wiring there to the chassis loom. And then there's the fuse box there, obviously that's the one we did yesterday. There's a little wire hanging out of it somewhere for a reverse switch, which I was talking about before. And the second fuse box is going to go here. And then everything else runs into the cab. So it goes along the chassis rail underneath the cab, in through a grommet just in front of the steering column, and then it comes through to here. So that gives us the 4 wires for the Tow Pro, and then a couple wires to change the radio to 12 volt and change the cigarette lighter to 12 volt as well. So it's all coming together. I've still got a bit more to do in here, but there's no point doing that until I've run the looms I just made, because I need to splice into that stuff. So it's a bit of a process. So hopefully I'll get the rest of this buttoned up pretty shortly. Probably not today because it's still very wet. But I need to crawl underneath and do all the trailer wiring and run all of this stuff. So one other thing that I have to do is this RCA. So this is for the video feed for the reversing camera. So normally they have a little power wire sticking out of either end that you can join to the camera or join to the radio. So I've got a separate wire to do that, which also powers the light bar. So I've just got to run this by itself. This is a pretty high quality one apparently. It's 10 meters, hopefully long enough. So the idea for this is just run this by itself, and then the radio and reverse camera power comes from elsewhere, which is in the fuse box. So hopefully this works out. Not that I have a camera yet, but that's a later problem. Alright, good morning. We're on day 4 or 5 of working on the truck. So this video is probably getting pretty long, and I still have to explain what all the wiring actually does. But right now I'm going to jump under the truck. This is a job I've been avoiding. So I need to go under the truck, I need to find the tail light wiring harness, and I need to de-pin it and work out what each wire does. And then when I work that out, I need to hook up some 7-core, which run as all the triggers to the relay box, which I'll explain a little bit later. But that's what I'm going to do right now. I've got some cable ties, I've got wire strippers, I've got side cutters, and I've got some tape and a pen. So I can write and label on everything and then work it all out from there. Alright, good start. I found the loom up here, which is going to the back for the tail lights and the indicators and stuff. And the multimeter is dead. So I'm going to have to go get a battery for the multimeter because I can't really do this without it. If it was 12 volt, I'd find a way, but 24 volt, I'd rather just have an indication of what's actually going on. So what I have done is put the tail lights on and the hazards on. So at least it'll be flashing left and right and the tail lights, so that'll narrow it down for me. And then the plan was to plug the multimeter between the earth and each of the wires individually until I found something happening, and then label each of them as I found them. So I'm going to have to go and find a battery for the multimeter because this isn't going to work otherwise. Alright, I got the battery out for the multimeter, flat side up when I come back. And I'm also going to take the ones for the calipers because they're not working either. So I'll go get the 2 batteries and come back and start again. Alright, got batteries, got a banana milk. Let's get stuck into this again. Alright, so the battery wasn't dead. The screen's dead. Bloody hell. Alright, I went to the shop and back again. I've got a new multimeter. I did have a really nice one back in the day and I lost it and refused to buy a new one until I found it. Never found it and ended up with this $5 one. So I just spent more than that on batteries. So this one was 60 bucks. Let's see how good it is. Well, it has batteries and the screen works, so that's better than the other one. Didn't come with a case, which is a bit rich. Even my $5 one came with a case, so whatever, let's get stuck into it. So I just jumped on the truck and pinned out one of the plugs. So we've got left brake, tail lights, which we've actually got two of. I'm just going to use this one, reverse, and the right indicator. So just need to go under there and splice into those, and we'll be on track. Alright, so onto the wiring part of things, or the explanation part of things. So I've hooked up those trigger wires, and they all run up to the relay box. So then you have relays that then run 12 volts through them one way and 24 volt through them the other way. So the triggers are just wired up, are going to be 24 volt. Then they're going to go through the relay, turn it on when they're on, and then put out 12 volt to this wire here, which is a 7 core that runs to the back for the actual trailer plug. So I've got a little wiring diagram, or a little pin out here. So each relay is the same. One for tail lights, one for ignition, one for brake, one for right hand, one for left hand, etc. So what we need to do is look at these pin numbers. So we've got 85 to 87 and 30. And then look at the bottom of the relay. You can hopefully see those little numbers there. So the pin we're looking for is the trigger. So that's pin 86, which is this one over here where my finger is. So then if we go over to the fuse box and go to put that in, it goes this way. So pin 86 is on the far side. Sorry, I'm having trouble filming and explaining and looking. So 86 is over here. And then if we go to put that in, it's this one up, it's up here. So I'm gonna run from earth to the multimeter. I'm going to run from the multimeter to here with the positive side of the multimeter and check for 24 volt positive. So what I want to do is hook that up, and then I'll get M to jump in the cab and touch the brakes, see if that comes on, get off the brakes, see if it turns off, etc. So each of those 5 is its own circuit, which I've drawn this little thing here. So the top is 4, so the spare one, sorry. So this one's spare, and then that one is left, right, brake, tails, radio. So I can check everything except for the radio currently. So I'm going to do that right now. Alright, so I just tested that. Everything works fine. One thing that we should have done is put reverse here instead of radio, but that's actually on the other fuse box. So we've got a little jumper wire just here, which is reverse. So I've checked that, and that works as well. So we should have all of the tail lights and everything, which I have checked as well. So we've got everything working back here in 24 volt. I need to run that one big long wire all the way to the back and wire up this 7-pin plug. And then we have 12 volt there and 24 volt all along here. Still have to put the relays in and plug the battery on and stuff, but proof of concept. Okay, so I've run the 7 core to the back. I've cut off the excess, I left myself a bit extra. So the plan is to do a little bit of a loop so that if this does get pulled, hopefully I catch it in time, or the chain catches it. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is set up a time lapse and just wire this 7 core to one of these trailer plugs sockets. So I've got a wiring diagram on the back, which is really glary. Sweet. So wire one of these up, and then I don't have the correct bolts to actually hold it to the plate, so I'm just going to run a zip tie through it for now and get some bolts later. Alright, so we've got the wiring all done. Plug on there. So I just need to get some bolts for here because it doesn't include them for some reason. And then with that little loop, a little bit extra, a little bit of safety, probably isn't going to be any good and probably going to get in the way, but we'll see how we go. So I'll put this tailgate back up and put the tow bar back on, and we'll see how it looks. Alright, so this is a bit of a bad design. This needs to be either mounted on the other surface, which is a 90 degrees, so it'll be dead flat, and then a pain in the ass to plug your trailer in, or bend it on the piss like this, and then it goes like that when you put the tailgate lifter up and down, which is a little bit annoying as well. Not super happy with where that is, but that's going to have to do it for now. If I get annoyed with it, I can put it on the side or on this side, I guess. So there we go, see how it lasts. Alright, so that's all for this week. Thank you for watching. There will be a part 3 of the truck series shortly. Just need to finish installing that second fuse box and get all the accessories onto the truck. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.